I'm delighted to say we are joined by one of the new presenters on ITV's darts coverage, Pete Graves. Thanks for the time, Pete. How are you doing?
Pleasure, mate. Yeah, I'm really good, really good, really excited. It all gets started this week, of course, in Milton Keynes. So can't wait to get my teeth into a bit of live darts. So yeah, really excited.
Yeah, that's where I was going to start off with. We are talking just a few days before you're going to make your debut presenting ITV's coverage of the darts. How excited are you to, as you put it, sink your teeth into this new role and presenting a sport that I'm guessing you haven't done before?
No, well, I've done plenty of darts, but only on Sky Sports News, which is, we keep up, we update the scores and all the tournaments, we interview the players and so on, but we're not actually in the arenas and such. It'll be slightly new for me. When I started at Sky 17 years ago, I actually did a bit of the reporting around the darts. So, but it's going back a long time. The likes of I think Eric Bristow was the first person I interviewed at Ali Pali ahead of the Worlds, and I just remember Sid Waddell was always a big hero of mine. He's a fellow Geordie, of course, and I grew up with him as the voice of darts. So he was a huge hero of mine, and was so good to me those early years at Sky when I was doing a few bits and bobs on the darts. But I sort of fell eventually. I sort of went from darts, then started doing live football for Sky and a bit of live rugby, and then I sort of found myself on Sky Sports News, which is where I sort of stayed for 15 years. So the live sport sort of stopped after a couple of years, and I just predominantly did news, but I've been itching to get back into live sport. So when this opportunity came up to jump into the darts on ITV, I just absolutely snapped the hand off. I was delighted to get it. And I love darts. I watch it with my family. Obviously, I'm a Geordie, so it's hugely popular up here as well. We've got pro players, but obviously, like I mentioned, the likes of Sid Waddell, who was one of my heroes growing up as well. So yeah, I think it's a great fit for me, and I just really looking forward to getting started with the team. And actually had a little video chat with the team today. All the different pundits and reporters and whatnot, and I think yeah, everyone's just buzzing really to get going. I mean, it has started, of course. They've had Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, which were both interesting tournaments, of course, to get us underway. But I think everyone's really excited about this week and being in Milton Keynes for the World Masters.
Yeah, this is the first major of the season, if you like, and it's going to be a lot more boisterous. I'm guessing the atmosphere in Milton Keynes based on previous years compared to the World Series. Well, we'll come on to your career in broadcasting so far in a moment, but as the World Masters is going to be your first time presenting the live darts coverage, I'm guessing you've been pretty busy prepping for this weekend. And how do you get yourself ready for this new role?
Yeah, I think look, prepping. Yes, I think it's reminding yourself, of the sort of little intricacies of each tournament and who's going to be playing, and of course the sort of the top 16 and so on. So it's sort of always changing, isn't it? So it's keeping on top of who's going to be in and looking at the favourites, but also the format. Of course, this sort of got the best of three legs situation, so it's sort of getting your head around things like that. Of course, didn't miss a dart, from Ali Pali, watching all the games live and sort of keeping on top of players coming through, the likes of Van Veen and such, who sort of emerged. Well, not emerged, of course, we've known about it for a long time, but really sort of surprised a few people getting all the way at the final. I think there's a lot of intrigue around players like him. But yeah, I mean, I think as far as sort of prepping and stuff, it's getting the basics down. Really, it's not. I wouldn't say I sort of go into huge detail. I sort of let the sport speak for itself. For me, it's all about making sure I've got sort of enough knowledge, but also bring enough energy and bring enough passion to it, really, and getting the best out of my guests. I think that's key. And the players, if you're catching up with a player straight off the back of a defeat or a win, it's making sure you ask the right questions to sort of get the right emotions out of them and sort of let them portray that to the watching audience. So yeah, have been busy, but it's not like I'm sitting with like 100 sort of darts books sort of piled up and going through every single stat, because I think you can sometimes go into it with too much knowledge. So yeah, just having as much as I think I need as we go into day one.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. And you've not been listening back to our 430 odd episodes that we've done on this podcast, because that would send you
Only
to sleep.
429 of them. I've only listened to 429.
Good man. We'll be testing you at the end of this interview as well. But let's take a look back at your career in the industry so far. And as someone myself, I aspired to be a sport journalist growing up myself. So whenever we get anyone on from the media on the show, I'm always interested
Mm.
to hear about the journey to get to where you are now. So where did it all begin for you? When did you first start dreaming of a career in sports broadcasting?
I think like you, mate, it was something I've always wanted to do from going to. I was very lucky in that my parents really encouraged me to, with not only playing sport but also going to live sports. My dad, my mum would take me largely to the football, but it wasn't always just Newcastle United are my local club, and I'm a Newcastle fan. But if Newcastle are away from home, my parents would often take me to Middlesbrough or Carlisle United or Sunderland, or I was often taking a live sport. But I went to watch ice hockey, I went to watch rugby. I was always in and around, and of course when we were in the pub, you sit watching people play darts and playing pool or whatever. So just always surrounded by sport, and went to university after school, did a sort of general media degree. And then just fell into the sport really. I initially got work experience at my local TV station, ITV Tyne Tees, and it was really in the canteen talking over lunch and a couple of people saying, God, you know a lot about sport. I think I was sort of 16 years old at the time. So, God, you know a lot about sport for a teenager. And they introduced me to the head of the sports department. It was a guy called Roger Thames who was brilliant. And he sort of used to, every holiday, school holidays, I would come back in and do a week. And it was largely logging tapes of sport, ironically on ITV, but at local football matches and rugby and stuff, and going through and writing the times where 13 minutes corner Newcastle, 27 minutes yellow card Brentford, whatever it was, and logging it all for the guys, for the editors. Spent a lot of time sort of going through tapes and whatnot, and then worked on an Alan Shearer documentary that we were doing, and I'd been there a certain amount of time, and an opportunity came up to be a presenter, and the boss said, look, you're not quite ready. I was maybe 18, 19. He said, go and try and do a bit of radio, get your voice right, get your broadcasting voice right, and then come back to TV later. And it was great advice. I went off, I applied for a job at a local radio station, and started doing news and sports bulletins on there. And then a break came to do the football commentary for Newcastle, which was like a dream for me. So I did every Newcastle game home and away, but doing radio commentary for 4 or 5 seasons. And at that point, another TV opportunity came back at Tyne Tees TV, this time as a presenter, and went back there, and it sort of played out perfectly as my boss had told me it would do 5 years earlier. I'd gone and done 5 years in radio, then come back as a presenter. And very soon after that, I got the opportunity to go down to Sky. That was 17 years ago, I think 2009. I got the job at Sky Sports and went down, like I say, initially doing a bit of reporting, and then moved into some live sports, mainly football, and then settled on Sky Sports News doing the breakfast show, which I've loved doing. I've absolutely loved doing. But I have to say, I've got 3 kids, and as much as I've loved doing the breakfast show, I think sometimes when you've got kids, getting up at 3, 4 a.m. every day to get into the office and do a breakfast show, and then still have the energy later on to sort of do school runs and kids football and the girls ballet and everything else that I do in an evening time. It was getting tough. I'm 43, and I was looking for something that I could do, something a bit different really, and that this opportunity to do the darts has come along. It was just at the perfect time for me. And honestly, I can't tell you, mate. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get started this week. And I was hearing today about the plans that they've got, and I think it's going to look absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that sort of brings us up to today, and where I am right now.
No, what a journey it's been so far. And you mentioned about your role with Sky Sports. Obviously, you've been there a while now. And I was reading earlier, you went down to London for the job interview. 2 weeks later, you got the call to say that you hadn't got the job, but they had you in mind for another role instead. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Actually, you reminded me. You know more about my career than I do. Yeah, I think it was like the role I initially applied for was like a news reporter role. It was sport, but it was very news heavy. I think it was someone to make maybe documentaries and stuff like that. And they didn't feel they were looking for someone more senior. So I got a dual phone call. It was said, unfortunately, you have been unsuccessful, and my heart sank. Of course, they went, but we've got you in mind to maybe be a presenter for us. So we'd like you to basically like you to keep in touch and just keep us across what you're up to. And yeah, it's true to their word. I did think after that, the conversation ended, and I think a couple of weeks passed by, and I thought I'm never going to hear from them again. They were just the guy obviously felt sorry for me and just thought he better tell me something to get me off the phone. But true to their word, they came back and before long, I was in there as a presenter, which was great. But typical me as a young kid, I told everyone, all my mates, "Oh, I've got a job at Sky Sports News. I'm going to be a presenter." And then I got the job, moved down to London from Newcastle, and they made me wait ages before they put me on screen. Again, I was back to logging tapes and learning about the ropes and working in production teams, and all my mates were going, "Are you sure you're a presenter?" I keep sticking on and not seeing you. I'm like, honestly, I'm going to be on. I'm going to be on. And after a while, they stuck me on, and actually, it was amazing because the first presenting shift I did on Sky Sports News, I realised within about 5 minutes I was nowhere near ready. I was so nervous, and I've watched it back, and I look like a complete imposter. What am I doing there? I look like someone's won a competition, and I was getting things in my ear, and people telling me about scores, and Arsenal have scored, and it was a busy Wednesday night, and they just chucked me on, and there were loads of Champions League matches, and I just was completely out of my depth. And it was a very tough learning curve from there. And I realised how much work I had ahead of me. I'm hoping when the darts comes around on Thursday that I'm a little bit more equipped, a little bit older, a little bit grayer, and a little bit wiser. So ready for anything that might come my way. But certainly that those first couple of years at Sky were a challenge. I went from thinking I was going to be absolutely brilliant to realizing I still had a lot to learn. So yeah, but hopefully it won't be a similar experience at Stadium MK or Arena MK, should I say, on Thursday.
I'm sure you'll be all right. And you mentioned about obviously family that you've got now and that move from Newcastle to London, obviously a big decision at the time for you and your
Mm,
partner, not an easy
yeah.
decision to make. What do you remember about that time then having to make that decision when you get the job for Sky to up sticks and move down south?
It was really hard because my wife's also a sort of proud Geordie as well, and I sort of said I went home and I said, "Look, I've got this good news and bad news." So, "Oh, what is it?" So I've been offered a job at Sky Sports. She said, "Oh, it's brilliant." I was like, "Yeah, yeah. The only thing is it's in London." She went, "Oh, I'm gutted for you. What a shame you're not be able to go." I was like, "Well, no, I think I'm going." She's like, "No, we can't leave Newcastle." She was devastated, but fair play to her. She moved down with me and we went down together. However, we had kids and made a joint decision really that we wanted our kids to grow up back up in the north. Much as anything else, we couldn't afford a house down in London. It was tough, and we thought, you know what, we had a baby, we had one on the way, and we made the tough decision to move back north. But of course, I would keep working at Sky, which was 4 or 5 days a week sometimes in London. So I've been commuting for such a long time, back and forward. So that was getting harder as well, working for 4 or 5 days at Sky. So although I'm staying at Sky, I think my sort of plan is to sort of do maybe a day less or 2 days less a week and do a couple of days here, maybe do some bit of reporting up north and obviously doing the darts as well. So from 16 years of basically doing 4 days a week on Sky Sports News, from this year, it's going to look a bit different, which is going to be really exciting. I'm going to be hopefully spending a bit more time with my kids. My eldest is 14 now, and he's sort of his entire life had me working away sort of 90% of the time. And I've got two daughters, 12 and 6. So yeah, I'm trying my best to see more of them in the years ahead. So that's sort of my priority in the back of my mind. So yeah, so and with the darts, get to Milton Keynes, I'll have 4 days there, but I've got this week to prepare for it, and then you sort of start looking at the UK Open, which is the next one, and there's a nice little period in between. So yeah, from a work and family perspective, it's absolutely perfect.
No, sounds good to me. And a few more before we let you go. And over the years, us darts fans, there's been some excellent presenters of the darts. We've had the legend himself. I'm sure you know him well, Dave Clark. More recently on
Yeah,
ITV, Jackie Oatley,
yeah.
and on Sky now, of course, Emma Payton. And we mentioned to Emma
Mm,
that we had this chat lined up with you, and she said that you two have worked a lot together on Sky Sports News. And we heard
mm.
that you were one of her favourite co-presenters on the breakfast show, and that you always used to get the coffees in. Is that right?
Uh, Probably, yeah. Emma was one of the first people I called when I got this chance with ITV. I respect her immensely. She's a brilliant presenter, and I let her know, and she's been great. We've spoken a couple of times. Anna Woolhouse, of course, does the presenting as well. Is another good friend of mine who I worked with a lot on Sky Sports News before she migrated more into live sport and the boxing and darts and whatnot. And of course, Michael Bridge is a good pal of mine as well, who does the reporting, who's the most energetic man in sports broadcasting. But I'll be working closely with Polly as well. I'm really looking forward to working with her. Someone who's done bits on Sky. It's quite nice actually that I went down to Ali Pali to sort of meet the team, and actually the reality is that I know most of the guys already. Obviously Wayne Mardle, who's just an all-round brilliant bloke and so knowledgeable. And actually, when I went down to Ali Pali, he was the first person I bumped into as I walked through the door, and we've had a great catch up. And now I'm just really looking forward to working with him as well, and all the team. Of course, but yeah, no, Emma's brilliant. She's done a great job. If I do half the job that Emma Payton's done, then I'll be doing very, very well indeed. And Dave Clark, who you mentioned, talking about inspirations. I mean, I mentioned Sid Waddell, but Dave, absolutely fantastic, fantastic man. Such an inspiration to me, and someone who I always loved and respected, and what he had to face and going on air time and time again, despite all of the battles he's had with his health. I mean, just absolutely incredible. And he will be one of the people very much also in my mind, I think, on Thursday when I'm getting the countdown in my ear, and you think about everyone who you've watched, everyone who's done such a great job. The likes of Dave, Sid Waddell, as I mentioned, and Emma, certainly. She's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But she made the coffees, by the way, just
Oh, okay.
for clearance. Yeah.
Well, very well said. And yeah, your new role at ITV, we know they've been covering the PDC darts for coming up to
Mm,
20 years now, but we know there's going to be a new team, a new look to it this week with the
yeah.
coverage at the World Masters. Is there
Yeah.
anything you can share with us in terms of what you guys have got planned?
I bet I just know it's going to look. I was just speaking to them today, and it's going to look spectacular. I know they've put a lot of time, effort, and resources into making sure it looks good. They're really keen to make sure it looks bigger and better than ever on ITV. I mean, I will mention as well. You mentioned Jackie Oatley there, who's another good pal of mine and someone I've known for a long time, and an absolutely brilliant broadcaster. And when the news was announced by the PDC, it was lovely. She was one of the people who messaged on social media and said, "Oh, Pete, you're going to love it. Good luck and have a fantastic time." And it meant a lot, actually. I thought it was really classy from Jackie, who's so brilliant and such a brilliant broadcaster, to drop me a message. And I've worked with her a number of times on Sky Sports News as well, and she's absolutely fantastic to work with and a brilliant presenter as well. But yeah, as far as the look goes, there's a few little things I I don't want to say something that's like you weren't meant to say anything, but it's gonna look brilliant. I think they're really thinking about doing it in a way that everything's going to be about the viewer, you guys watching at home. So less about the likes of myself, and more about what it's going to look like visually for you guys back at home. And put it this way, I won't be sitting down very much. I think there's going to be a lot of moving around to different positions, and so really try and give the audience a feel of like they're in the arena. So rather than just sitting in one position and presenting from one place, yeah, I'm going to be all over the place, popping up in different positions, different sides of the oche, and in amongst the crowd and in the walkway and stuff. And I think we're really going to try and make sure that people who are watching at home feel like they're very much walking the experience and they're getting to see it from different perspectives and stuff like that. So very excited about the plans that we've got, and I'll still be getting my steps in by the sounds of it following today's meeting. So yeah, it'll keep me on my toes for sure.
Well, you've definitely sold it to us. And just lastly, before we let you go, you did mention one of the other tournaments coming up on ITV, the UK Open. Obviously, they've got a lot more darts coming up this year. The European Championship Players
Yeah.
Championship Finals. You've also got the World Series Finals. Are there any of the other tournaments you're most looking forward to getting your teeth stuck into? I'm guessing a nice little trip to Butlins Minehead a couple of times this year.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to my trip to Minehead. I've got a good relationship already with because I'm a Geordie. I know obviously Chris Dobie pretty well, Callan Rids I know as well, and they've both messaged me like within minutes of the news saying like look forward to it, showing you the showing you Minehead. You know, these obviously they have a great time there. But no, I mean Chris Dobie was one of the first people I told as well when I got the news because I see him a lot. He's a big Newcastle United fan, and I'm at basically every game. So is he, and so I sort of told him, and he's been brilliant with his advice, and everyone has. What's been so lovely is that everyone who I've spoken to and I sort of told about this from the world of darts, whether it's players or pundits and presenters, just like people seem genuinely pleased that I'm going to be part of it with them, and that's been really really humbling actually and really nice. It's made me even more excited about something I was already so excited about. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to my trips to Butlins Minehead. Yeah, the Europeans. I think we're with Dortmund for that one, and the players, of course. I'll probably pop up on maybe one of the World Series ones as well, although that's going to be largely Gabby doing those, I think. But I think the plan is for me to do maybe one of those as well. But you know what? I'm just looking forward to all it. I think if I was going to say which one am I looking forward to the most, it's probably this week because it's the first one, and I'm just really looking forward to getting it done really and getting out there. And yeah, I've waited in a long time to do live sport again, and I can't think of any other sport I'd rather do right now, genuinely, than darts. It's just, you know what? I've always watched it, but I found since I got offered the job, just sort of November time, my whole family have sat with me and watched it. And I've got a wife, two daughters, and a son. I knew my son would love it because he loves anything sports wise. But what has been really fascinating to me is that my 6-year-old girl and my 12-year-old and my wife, who actually secretly hates sport because she sees it as something that takes her husband away all the time, even she's been like really getting into it, and we really enjoyed watching the final at Ali Pali, and just the fact that with darts, it's anyone. The dream is there for anybody. I think that's what makes it so great is that people sitting watching at home, they think, I can do that. If I put enough practice, enough time and effort in, there's a chance that I could go and win that tournament. And there's not many sports that you could say that. You know, all you need is a board and some darts, and you can start your own date with destiny. You can start trying to fulfill your own dreams from your own kitchen. It's very, very rare that there's a sport like that. You look at anything else. I mean, I dreamed of being a professional footballer when I was a kid. Unless you can find another 21 guys and a full pitch and goals and referees, everything, it's very difficult to get that amount of practice in. With darts, you literally can be on your own in your house, practice from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed, and you're going to get very good. There's a chance you can get very, very good at that. So I think that's what makes darts so unique, and that's why it's so big because any single person give it the chance, and they're gonna love it. So yeah, it's a brilliant sport. I can just see it getting bigger and bigger. What the journey it's already been on over the past 20 years is absolutely incredible. But it's only going to go from strength to strength, and I'm delighted that I'm getting to be a very, very, very tiny part of that in the years ahead, hopefully with ITV.
Yeah, it really is a sport for everyone. Well, Pete, it's been an absolute pleasure to get you on the show. Really appreciate you taking out the time on what is obviously going to be a very busy week for you. Wish you and all the team at ITV all the best for this week in Milton Keynes and for the rest of the year.
Thanks, Alex. Really appreciate it. It's been great to come on the podcast, and yeah, don't be shy to let us know what you think. For anyone listening to this pod, tune in to ITV on Thursday. We read all of the feedback, all of the comments. I was, going through it all, and it's all handy to feel what people at home are thinking. And I just know that the guys at the PDC and ITV just want to give the viewers something that they're going to really enjoy. So yeah, let us know what you think, and we just hope you enjoy it.